Hi, everyone. Welcome to After Party. Thanks so much for joining us, whether you're here live at 10 p.m. or you're catching up afterwards. We appreciate it. There's so much show to get to today. We're going to be joined by Marjorie Dannenfelser and our friend Brittany Xavier. Brittany's going to help us break down some Grammy stuff, all kinds of craziness happening on that side. Don Lemon, it's just getting not enough attention because of what happened at the Grammys, but Don Lemon got a standing ovation at a pre-Grammys party, so we're not going to let that one go by. And I think a lot of people are unaware of the craziness. Maybe craziness isn't the right word. The seriousness, that's probably a better word, that's unfolding in the pro-life movement right now in the second Trump administration. So Marjorie Dannenfelser of the Susan B. Anthony list is going to be joining us in just one moment to break down some, again, I don't know if everybody has seen under the hood of what's happening. And there's some very, very, very big questions about the FDA, actually now about the DOJ. So I'm very, very excited to have Marjorie on the show to give us a sense of how the pro-life movement is reacting to this first part of the second Trump administration and how it could affect the midterm elections, because believe it or not, they're almost here. Now, I'm so bad, but I am remembering right now to say, please subscribe. It helps us so much. Subscribe on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. It is totally free. Great way to help us out. We appreciate it. I've had the craziest day. I can't tell you what I was doing today quite yet. Something for the Megyn Kelly show. There's a little tease. Something wild for the Megyn Kelly show. I don't know when you'll be able to know what it was, but soon enough. You'll know it when you see it. Let's just put it that way. Okay. Lots of fun. I want to start, though, man, these news cycles. We have the Molt Book meltdown happening. If you've been following the Molt Book meltdown, the bots are on their own Reddit, and it's a glimpse into our dystopian future. The Epstein files, 3 million Epstein files were released by the Department of Justice. Now, that could still be a problem for the administration. Democrats are saying the math doesn't math. There's still 6 million. We were told that there were 6 million Epstein files. So are there 3 million being redacted for those narrow reasons of national security or a ongoing prosecution? The DOJ has to provide an update on that. They have to provide reasons for redactions. So that we could see more batches drip out in the future. This is probably the last big one for now. And let me tell you, I've spent the better part of my weekend in the darkest corner of the Epstein files, the darkest corners of the Epstein files. I was keyword searching. And so I will have a lot more to say on this. I always try not to jump into stories like this, but it's a Jackson Pollock right now, right? Like, you see a million different colors and splatters of paint, and you can interpret what it means. But it's a mess. And it's a mess that we can all, again, like, you can interpret it from one vantage point or another. But the way I always think about this is as a puzzle. And like the JFK release, and I think this is important to kind of temper our expectations, unfortunately, like the JFK assassination, you don't know how big the puzzle is. So you may have 800 pieces of the puzzle, but you don't know if it's a 1,000 piece puzzle and you're almost there, or if it's a, 5,000 piece puzzle, God forbid. And you don't know what the picture is either, right? Like, you don't have a box to work off of. And so we have a lot of pieces. And some of them make sense together, right? But when you put them, you don't know that you have them all together. And I think that's the future of the Epstein case, but there are a million different things happening right now underneath the surface. So one thing I found in the files was Epstein having his legal team FOIA himself. You can see this up on the screen. This is a document from Epstein's lawyer in 2011. He FOIA'd himself. Now, I was talking to some people trying to get to the bottom of what this might be. One theory, is it a warning signal? Mike Benz saw when I posted this, and he has a huge thread. Go and look at it if you're curious. Getting to the bottom of what this potentially could have been. Benz found that I posted this thing about planes, which is also fascinating. Epstein's pilot in one of these emails is like, hey, we might have trouble flying in the Middle East because one of the serial numbers on one of these jets shows that it used to be from the CIA. So good luck with that. There's all kinds of, this is what I mean about it being a puzzle that we don't quite have the full picture of, and we don't know how much more picture there is to go. But on the FOIA, was it a warning shot? Was Epstein curious as to what the CIA would be able to technically release publicly about himself? Another thing Benz found was a picture of him, Epstein, with a ton of boxes in the background labeled CIA. This is what I'm saying. I don't want to jump all over this story too quickly because I'm right now working different threads, talking to people, pulling at different things. So there'll be much, much more to say about this. But I did want to start just with, sorry about that, just with an interesting cancel culture story that's developing literally at this moment. Breaking news, Bill and Hillary Clinton, quote, have agreed to key demands from the Republican-led House Oversight Committee to testify about Jeffrey Epstein in a closed-door deposition, according to a lawyer for the couple and the top Democrat on the panel. So they might be able to avoid this contempt of Congress conundrum. Steve Bannon obviously defied a congressional, Peter Navarro too, defied congressional subpoenas and went to prison. So will the Clintons now avoid that? It's not definite based on this, but I have a frog in my throat tonight. Exciting. I just got off an airplane, so it's probably that. But that is the news where it stands right now. It's looking good if you're the Clintons, that you have agreed to these demands. Obviously, they didn't want to. It looks like their bluff is being called. But this brings me to the news of the moment, which is according to according to The Wrap, as of right now, there is a situation unfolding at CBS News where Peter Attia, who many of you probably know as a very popular physician, a very popular doctor sort of in Maha world. Peter Attia is a new CBS News contributor hired in the Barry Weiss era to much fanfare. So they are reporting right now at The Wrap, quote, CBS News expected to cut ties with Peter Attia over his Epstein links just days after Barry Weiss announced him among new contributors. Then we learned from Sharon Waxman, who was a reporter at The Wrap, update on the Peter Attia situation. We're hearing there is a battle royale between Paramount Corporate and CBS News' Barry Weiss. She does not want to cut ties with Peter Attia and sees it as giving in to the mob. Paramount sees it as an HR matter and that Attia can't give expert advice. You could not possibly conceive of a more perfect test case for cancel culture than everything wrapped up in the story right now of Peter Attia, who, again, you might know from Maha circles. You might know him just as an extremely popular physician. His book is a massive bestseller. Everyone has it. Huge book. And New York Times reports here, Dr. Attia's name appears in more than 1,700 documents, some of which include direct correspondence in the mid-2010s between him and Mr. Epstein, a disgraced financier, etc. Mr. Epstein would later be charged with trafficking underage girls for sex. Dr. Attia, who is in his early 50s, said in a lengthy statement posted on X on Monday that, quote, he never witnessed illegal behavior and never saw anyone who appeared underage, end quote, in Mr. Epstein's presence. He added that, quote, he was never on the plane, never on his island, and never present at any sex parties. Some of the emails, though, showed the two men speaking crudely about women. And Dr. Attia said Monday that he was embarrassed and ashamed of himself. Quote, whatever growth I've had over the past decade does not erase the emails I wrote then. It does not erase those emails. They are bad. On the level, well, maybe not quite on the level, but close to the level of Elon Musk saying first that he never went to the island, and then emails showing he was asking for an invitation to the, quote, wildest night that would happen on Epstein's island. He was directly asking Epstein in an email, according to the new documents, and said at one point, like, girls, FTW. So Attia, though, quote, confirmed back on February 19th, 2016, in an email to Jeffrey Epstein. All right, bleep this out, or just cover your kids' ears. Quote, pussy is, indeed, low carb. Still awaiting results on gluten content, though. Oh my gosh. He typed that to a convicted sex criminal. A little bit earlier than that, according to the Times, he had offered his medical services to Mr. Epstein and asked, quote, have you decided if you're interested in living longer? Solely for the ladies, of course. That's nice. At one point, people matched up the timelines to his book and showed, this is a crazy New York Post article, showed basically that he had been meeting with Epstein while his son, who had just been born, was in the ICU. The timeline is in his book. This is 2017, and he writes in his book that his little baby was having a cardiac, I think his kid was having cardiac arrest on a Tuesday, and he says, but I did not come home to San Diego until Friday the following week, 10 days later, because he was busy with his, like, quote, important work. So this is a self-critical mention in his book about him prioritizing work over family. We now know he was apparently with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, if you're Peter Attia and you're trying to make it in the medical world, as you're sifting through all of these emails, you see that Jeffrey Epstein, you see lots of people involved in medical research sucking up to Jeffrey Epstein over the years because they knew that they could find a way to get money from Jeffrey Epstein that could be beneficial. And he was interested in some really weird research, but no surprise that he would be interested in Attia-style longevity research. That's like the one thing you could see him being especially interested in getting out of an Epstein relationship. So all this is to say, the left's straw man of cancel culture is that it's actually not that objectionable because even the anti-cancel culture people are hypocrites. So like even, Barry Weiss, if you look at Barry's position on what should be censored or suppressed as quote unquote anti-Semitism, or what should be targeted as quote unquote anti-Semitism versus what is anti-racism or what is racism, what is misogyny, etc., is more broad, and then it's very narrow. So you have a broad definition of anti-Semitism, for example, and then a narrow definition of what really constitutes racism or bigotry. But all this to say, Barry is literally most successful for speaking out against cancel culture. You can see this in the profiles that have been published of her recently, where she's being feted in Los Angeles and Silicon Valley and New York Times over the last 5 years in particular as somebody who is standing up against cancel culture. Interesting, right? So the question is, has Attia's professional credibility as a doctor been undermined? Do these revelations expose some broader pattern of behavior? So a man talking privately to another male friend about ladies and other things isn't exactly a professional problem for a doctor, right? You'd have to say a lot of men would be fired if the standard for men being allowed to have a job is that they had a private conversation with another guy, not even at a workplace, but that involved these lewd topics. But the question is also completely changed by the fact that Epstein was a convicted sex offender at the time of these emails, which then obviously reflects very, very bad moral judgment. But Peter Attia was hired by CBS to be a doctor. And as a matter of principle, to be honest, right now, knowing what I know, probably keep him on staff with one exception. I don't know the guy, but if I did know him and this bad judgment seemed reflective of broader behavior, that might be a liability for the network. That's another question. That's a big question. People with bad judgment leak, they gossip, they hit on colleagues. So from my vantage point, I have absolutely no idea if Attia was just flattering some rich guy who could help him out enormously or actually indulging a sex offender because he doesn't take billionaire predators seriously enough to stay away. I don't know. Maybe Peter Attia is a wonderful human being who made an error and people who know him, trust him, and understand that. I can't make that call sitting where I'm sitting right now. And it doesn't really matter to me if you think that's a punt. I think people in my position probably don't take enough punts. If I were Barry, I would say you have to man up and you have to make a call. But my job is much more luxurious than that. I get to sit here from a distance and make my judgment calls because I don't know him. And I think that does make a difference in this case. It's horrible. I mean, it was horribly bad behavior. This guy was hired to be a TV doctor and not a priest. That's what it looks like to me from where I'm sitting right now. But you could not possibly conceive of a more interesting and challenging cancel culture puzzle. If you are Bari Weiss, what a gift that landed on her lap several months in to her helming CBS News. Good luck with that one, Bari. I do not envy you right now. And Peter Attia, it's so disappointing. It's so disappointing. But we'll see what happens going forward. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break and then be back with Marjorie Dannenfelser, and we're going to have a very newsy conversation, so make sure you stay with us for that. Everybody is talking about weight loss injections because those results are so dramatic. They work by lowering blood sugar and reducing people's appetite. So what if you're looking to lose weight, but you're not interested in those painful weekly injections, especially when you hear about some of those intense side effects? That's why doctors created a weight loss supplement called Lean, and the results are remarkable. They studied ingredients in Lean. The studied ingredients that are in Lean have been shown to lower your blood sugar, burn fat by converting it into energy, and also curb your appetite and your cravings so that you're not as hungry. But listen, Lean is not just for the casual dieter with only a few pounds to lose. The doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition created Lean for frustrated dieters with 10 or more pounds to lose. So let's get you started with 20% off and free rush shipping so you can add Lean to your healthy diet and exercise plan. Visit takelean.com and enter Emily for your discount. That's promo code Emily at takelean.com. All right, we're joined now by Marjorie Dannenfelser, who is the president of the Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America group, very influential pro-life group. Thank you so much, Marjorie. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to it. I'm a huge fan.
Same. Well, I really appreciate you being here. And I know you're in Iowa right now, and you've been talking to people. So just the fact that you're in Iowa is interesting enough. But to set the stage for people, I imagine, Marjorie, one of the reasons you're in Iowa is that you're disappointed with what you've seen from Trump 2.0 so far when it comes to life. And you have been very vocal in recent weeks and months about some of those high-profile disappointments. We're talking about HHS, FDA, and now DOJ, with the Louisiana case that was kind of quietly backburnered, if I can use that as a verb, recently. Donald Trump himself, we'll let it go. Donald Trump himself talking about asking you and pro-life voters for, quote, flexibility on the Hyde Amendment on those Obamacare subsidies. So, Marjorie, if we could just start by you giving us your kind of overview so far of what you've seen now that we're 1 year in, and why you're concerned as a pro-life activist and voter yourself.
Yeah, thanks for that opportunity. I think it helps to begin by thinking of where we really are, which is just a few years out from Dobbs. And I think we'll look back years from now and say, wow, those were formative, important years. And look how things rolled out. There was a huge groundbreaking landmark decision. There was response, there was fear, there was aggression, and who did these things, right? So the reality is that in Trump 1, because I was very much a part of this, there were really important commitments that the president made. He followed through on every single one of them. We all know the judges that he appointed. We know that he takes personal responsibility for the overturn of Roe v. Wade. For all those things, we're incredibly grateful. We as a nation, you should be, even if you're not pro-life, you should realize that the gift of democracy, using the tools of democracy to work out consensus on something that over 50 years we've been denied any route to justice or even just consensus. Now, I want to protect every baby, but we all should be happy when we're given back something that had been denied by judges for so long. So when that moment happened, there was very little, as a dearth of leadership at the top of the Republican Party. It just simply wasn't there. There was some commitments and backing off and all sorts. And midterms actually went better than anybody expected. But then we got to Trump 2, and we were not living in the same situation. The door that had been open to Roe, frankly, the president really wanted to shut back, at least when it came to the federal level, and pretty much wipe his hands clean of anything that would be helping advance any of the opportunities that we had, because it's all just up to the states. Now, Kavanaugh and that Dobbs decision made very clear, and or along with the rest of the the decision that this was sent back to all elected representatives, and that there is clearly a federal responsibility. So where we're left right now, in that desire for political reasons to kind of say, all right, you states, you're in charge, not me, we're done over here, is that decisions are getting backed into. Now, there's great staff across the federal government that are getting a lot of great things done. But the big ticket items, what happened since Dobbs and through COVID was the mailing of abortion drugs all across the country. So most people are surprised to hear that the abortion rate has gone dramatically up. It was around 800,000 zone the year of Dobbs. It's well over 1 million annually in terms of abortions. And that is because the wild west of pharmaceuticals that the abortion drug is. During the Biden administration, the rules surrounding the in-person visit that was required for the abortion drug, that was dropped because it was a necessity that women get the abortion drug. So then when Trump is back in, he has not reinstated this in-person visit that's required to get a sonogram, a basic health scan, ectopic pregnancy, what's the gestation of your baby. None of that is required, just filling out a form, $150. So that is a huge disaster that most people are not seeing, but it's gradually getting recognized. And then very recently, you alluded to the fact that the Hyde Amendment, kind of the basic building block of the whole pro-life movement, and just kind of a given for so many years since 1976, when the president was very concerned that the Obama healthcare subsidies get extended, he said to us, well, you're just going to have to be flexible on the Hyde Amendment. And the Hyde Amendment, of course, keeps us from using our own money to fund abortion across the country. It's simply untenable. And if this is the top of the GOP, for whom we're grateful for other things, but this is absolutely unacceptable to be living in a moment of such great hope and to have it washed away by these lawless abortion drug distributions being sent from New York and California into pro-life states.
I have a really dumb question, Marjorie, and I wonder if sometimes you find yourself in the situation where high-level lawmakers, people in positions of great influence and power, think of mifepristone and chemical abortion drugs almost as plan B, and they're not entirely clear on what the drugs are and what they do. Have you found that to be the case? Yes,
it's a great question because it happens all the time. I mean, not a ton of people are wanting to really look at the abortion issue every day. It's a recoil issue for many people. So there's not a lot of incentive to kind of dig in. Mifepristone, and because a lot of people call it the abortion pill, it sounds to them like pill, drug. It's a lot of conflation of different types of things. The only intent of this abortion drug is to abort a child after conception, and it's supposed to be up until 10 weeks. But of course, if you don't know what the gestational age of your baby, it could be at any point. So you can see how the harms to women also are occurring all over the country, and how it's just so insane that if it were therapy, like if you need allergy medicine, you got to go to your doctor. You got to get an exam. You got to make sure you're getting the right stuff. For this though, it's they're all guardrails are off, and women are dying. There are 1 in 11 women have sepsis and hemorrhaging, serious infection. The ER visit rate is dramatically up over any other type of abortion. So it is a disaster. And all we're getting from the administration is, guess what? The worst bureaucratic news you could ever get. We're studying it. Now, the FDA has a responsibility to study. Yes, of course they do. But they have a first responsibility to take it off the market while they're doing that, given the horrors that are happening right now.
Yeah, and so you mentioned the FDA has that case on its docket. Marty Makary over there, I know is not particularly trusted by a lot of people in the pro-life movement. I've interviewed him before during COVID and found him to be very compelling. But Bloomberg reported that the FDA is delaying that review until after the midterm elections. Now, Marjorie, is that what you're also hearing on your end? That this isn't just a delay to be more thorough, that this is a political delay that's happening particularly for the midterms?
I've been here a few years, and yes, this is the slow walk that we've all experienced many times. And one thing we all learn after midterms, there's a presidential election. So this wait until after midterms, wink and nod and promise, it will always evaporate, because there's always going to be an election that's bigger, more important. The most important election of our lifetime is around the corner. You people can't possibly blow it up by insisting on this thing. The crazy thing is, it's also incredibly popular among pro-choice people, lovers of Planned Parenthood. And the McLaughlin poll showed 70% of the people think it's really makes sense to require a doctor visit before having the pill. So, of course, I think the pill should be gone. But that's not what's on the table right now. What's on the table is basic protection of women's health. This is no longer between your woman and your doctor anymore. It's between you and your mailman. It does any boyfriend, abusive father, trafficker, anyone can get a hold of this thing. Stocked up in fraternities, in a pimp's flop house. That's such a 1970s term. Anyway, flop house. Anyway, you get the picture. Anyone and everyone can have them, and there's case after case after case on our website. They're all there. But one of the most horrific ones that actually the guy's indicted and he's going to jail in Ohio is the case of a medical resident who was dating this woman, and while she was sleeping, stuffed the pills down her throat. And she woke up gagging and coughing, and she had already ingested them. She lost the baby. Okay, this is not freedom for women we're talking about. This is not the great liberator that the late feminist movement said that this was. This is an exploitation of women and tools to help men exploit women in these situations. So, it's the pro woman, it's the pro baby. It's just, kind of a common sense thing that I don't blame it on. I mean, we called for the firing of Dr. Makary. Of course, nobody liked it. Everybody's all mad. Well, he's the head of the FDA. He could do it in a minute. But there's another reality, and it begins at the White House. I mean, there's no question that if this were something that the president wanted, it would happen in a second. He's never been afraid of anything. He's certainly, the idea that the president would want to study something for a year before acting on it doesn't really stand the straight face test.
Is it your sense that Makary and Bobby Kennedy are perhaps not strongly convicted in a pro-life direction politically, and that they personally are uncomfortable with pursuing a pro-life agenda, or are they just aware that the president wants to make sure abortion is not a motivator for women, for example, in the midterms, and they are taking that top down? Like you said, if he wanted to do it, they would probably swallow the bitter pill and do it. Yeah. No pun intended, actually.
Yeah. Sadly, yeah. No, I think most people know that probably Secretary Kennedy is not the pro-lifer of great zeal that one would hope in an HHS secretary. I think that they got to some agreement so that he could be HHS secretary. But yeah, do I think he's motivated to do anything like this? No. Do I think that Dr. Makary is a great pro-life advocate? I honestly have hearts of men, and women, but I do know that the politics of this are pretty clear, and that they would do it if they could. I mean, if they were told to. There's no question in my mind about that. I think and both of those individuals, both of those men, have been asked by senators and members of the House, 147 in the House, and all the leadership, and the same in the Senate. Every single Republican senator said, we need you to look at this. We need you to come up with some guidelines. And all that we're hearing, and the DOJ is backing it up, is we're just going to study this. It is so condescending and such an insult to all women, not just pro-life people. It really, so do we think it's going to change? I don't know. I only know that being involved in politics is there's a lot of people think it's the unhappy place or the dirty place or all that. I see it as a gift that means that we can change things in the future. And what we need is a very strong national pro-life leader. And it's great to be in Iowa involved in midterms, and it'll be great to be in Iowa for the presidential as well.
I was just going to ask you about Iowa, Marjorie.
Yeah.
You're on the ground there right now, and I know a lot of people, pro-life people, frankly, that care about the MAHA, Make America Healthy Again agenda, and care about the president's broader agenda, don't want to see potentially him get impeached if you have something he's reportedly worried about, if you have a Democratic House and potentially a Democratic Senate. So how do you hear people grappling with this where you have... As I know, part of what your job is you believe that it's not an albatross in the election if it's handled correctly, that everybody else thinks it is. But how do you help people think about whether or not they're putting this like generational opportunity to make America healthy again on the line, potential impeachment on the line, over an issue that Dems would be super aggressive and much, much worse on if you didn't at least have a nominally pro-life administration?
Well, it's why I do love politics. It's why philosophy of Greece was the greatest thing to study. Why, you have a cause that you love very much and that that there are a lot of people that support it. There are concrete ways, and one concrete way is to go to Iowa, go to other battleground states, go door to door, communicate directly to the right voters with the right message that moves them, and help persuade people that maybe weren't going to be with you but are kind of on the edge, Republicans, Independents, Democrats who are a little in between, and people who aren't going to maybe vote unless they have somebody that comes and literally talks to them. We will talk to we'll go to 500,000 homes in Iowa. We'll reach double that in other ways of communication. And that, to me, that public square conversation, that is what raw, beautiful politics is. And that's what we're doing in Iowa. Right now it's for midterms. And the governorship here is very important because Kim Reynolds is a rock star, and we need a governor here. We want to help have a governor here that continues her legacy. But so to me, it's in answer to your question, you convince by conversation, by persuasion, by what you do every single day. And you take it right to the voter who's going to make that vote. And that's and it works. We've done this since 2014 and on a major scale in the country in battlegrounds. And I know it works. I can tell you firsthand that we've got all the numbers, and that should give everyone great hope. So yes, we are I couldn't, it's all of the administration, the way they're acting has got us all on our last nerve. But that does not speak to what is possible in the future. And that's exciting to me, very exciting.
My last question then on that note is, a smart pro-life friend, someone that we both know, suggested I ask Marjorie if Donald Trump is still the most pro-life president ever in your estimation.
Well, we give grades on administration by administration. That's how we score. With this administration, I would say definitely not. Last administration, I would say he was. But I think there's always a way to make up for it. I think around the corner, he could change his mind on this abortion drug thing and it be changed in a minute. He could change his mind that, California babies are just as valuable as Alabama babies. And so let's take some steps forward. I think it's been an incredible disappointment, and we put so much into helping elect him. But I think, and to you and our mutual friend, I would say we just judge every day by the merits of that day.
Marjorie, doing the Lord's work, people should absolutely check out the SBA List website. If they're ever thinking about the chemical abortion drugs, have a friend thinking about it, please go there and read about it. So Marjorie, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. I love being on your show. Thanks.
We'll do it again. Appreciate it.
Right,
have fun in Iowa.
Thank you. All right.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
All right, everyone, we will be right back with Brittany Xavier. But first, let's talk about masa chips. Obviously, when am I not talking about masa chips? You don't have to overhaul your whole life in 2026. You can start with simple swaps like upgrading your snacks. And why wouldn't you at this point? Masa chips are made with just 3 ingredients: organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. No seed oils, no fillers, no mystery chemicals. Just really, really, really good tasting food. I promise. It's so good. Unlike regular chips, masa leaves you feeling more satisfied and energized, not bloated or sluggish. And because the chips are more filling, you don't find yourself mindlessly snacking and still feeling hungry afterward. Personally, my favorite flavor of masa is lime, but I honest to goodness like every single one of them. If you're ready to give masa a try, go to masachips.com/afterparty and use code afterparty for 25% off your first order, or simply click the link in the video description or scan the QR code to claim this delicious offer. If you don't feel like ordering online, masa is now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket, so stop by and pick up a couple of bags before they're gone. All right, we're joined now by Brittany Xavier, our friend. She is a digital creator and someone who I'm very eager to get her take on the Grammys. So, Brittany, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Are masa chips Brittany Xavier approved? The 3 ingredients, those good? Those
Yes,
maha?
we love masa chips over here. Hatch chili is my favorite.
It would have been so funny if I asked you that and you were like, absolutely not. I hate them.
Yeah, my kids just go through the bags quickly, so I have to say, let's wait until, everyone can get some before they all just down them.
I've never heard anybody say that they don't like them, though, so I felt safe asking that, Brittany. Let's start, though, with the Grammys, because it was predictable in every possible way. Before the Grammys even started, Don Lemon received a standing ovation at a pre-Grammys party, obviously connected with his recent encounter with the Trump administration. We actually have this video here. This is at the Beverly Hilton Hotel, the Clive Davis pre-Grammy party. Let's roll S1.
Don Lemon.
Don Lemon. I mean, he's so completely self-serious, but so was basically everybody else at the Grammys the next day. If people have consumed any bit of this news cycle so far, they probably have seen the Billie Eilish and Bad Bunny clips, but we have a montage. If you've missed it, let's roll S2.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
Before I say thanks to God, I'm gonna say eyes out.
And I'm gonna leave this and say fuck ICE.
Our voices really do matter, and people matter, and fuck ICE is all I want to say. Sorry.
Okay, so that was Billie Eilish with a fuck ICE. But Brittany, it's so, I mean, it was, they had these kind of understated pins that were literally not understated because they were constantly talking about them. And I saw a Washington Post review that said the Grammys are usually, well-mannered and sort of down, like they're kind of low-key and not super political. I'm just like, who at the Washington Post published this? It's not true at all. This wasn't some type of departure. This was back to business as usual. I don't know. What did you make of this, Brittany? It was so in your face, I thought.
I thought it felt like you saw peer pressure happening in real time, where people were realizing in the room, oh, maybe I should be talking about ICE. Is this the hot topic? It felt very over the top for every single person to be saying the same thing and to have matching pins. It all felt a little like maybe their management team told them to say something, to make a statement.
Here's the Biebers. Yeah, the Biebers.
Yeah, and he's also wearing Balenciaga, which had that whole scandal with a child pornography. So it's like, oh my God, the hypocrisy is very interesting to me.
Well, it's also a good point. I didn't even think that they were pairing those Ice Out pins with designer clothes that cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, when one of the most salient arguments against or for having a border is that you protect low-wage workers in your own country. And here you have, I don't know, Brittany, I'm curious if you think that's worn. Are people kind of ready for this right now because Trump's approval ratings are lower? Are they going to greet it with open arms? Are they going to keep rolling their eyes? Or are we so divided that some people are happy to see it, some people absolutely hate it, and a lot of people are just tuning it out?
I don't know 100%, because I think that, Taylor Swift and Beyonce coming out to support Kamala, it didn't sway the vote. So if their voices really can't sway it, then I don't think these smaller up and coming artists are really going to have as much sway as they think they are. but I do think they're talking to the people in the room. Like, I think they're trying to impress the people that they're surrounded with. And when you're in that industry and you're constantly around it and everyone's on the same page in the room, or the ones that are speaking out, because no one really wants to say how they really are feeling, especially if someone is a little bit more conservative, they're not going to say it there. And I really think that it's a little bit more of like you're in that echo chamber. Same thing with algorithm, with your TikTok or Instagram. You're kind of seeing the same things that you already agree with. I really don't think people are at a place where they're going to be swayed by a post that's a clever post on Instagram or someone saying ice out. It's like, oh, wow, that's going to change everything.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's a good point. That's very funny. The sports journalist Emily Austin was at the Grammys and posted, we have this first clip of her that went viral while everyone was giving an ice out chant, a standing ovation. I think this is actually when Billie Eilish said F ice. We can roll S4 here.
Standing ovation for ice out.
Oh, for ice out.
I'm going to sit down. You should all be ashamed of yourself. We love America. I love our law enforcement.
Okay, one thing confuses me about that. I don't know Emily. I'm sure she's lovely, but there are a lot of other people sitting behind her, so I don't know. That was like, I mean, there actually are quite a few people sitting. Let's though roll this clip of Emily on Fox just several hours ago. Brittany, when I saw this clip, I was like, I have to ask Brittany about it because there's something I think people will know it when they hear it, but there's something very interesting that she says. S5.
The fake standing ovation, I want to tell the viewers one thing. It is all fake. If I tell you how many folks approached me at the Grammys, looked around and then whispered in my ear, "You're so brave, we agree with you." If only they would speak up and then we'd feel like we're less of a minority. But we're not a minority because we had an election. Donald Trump won that election. He campaigned on shutting the border. He campaigned on deporting illegal immigrants, as did every prior president. So it's all performative and it's fake. And we can't take it seriously.
So, Brittany, people who don't maybe know your backstory, they can watch the first time that we talked. They should definitely go back if they didn't watch that episode. But you kind of went through the cancel culture era of influencer life. And I'm curious if you had a similar experience where people would kind of privately talk to you and then you would notice publicly people swarming and like trying to get their virtue signal points in. Is that familiar?
Yeah, I actually had quite a bit of people from high fashion designer working on the team reach out to me privately, DM and say, please don't post this. But I completely agree. I cannot say anything. I'm in New York. I'm in Paris. I can't do any of this. But thank you so much for speaking out. And that just was like, look, they don't want to ruffle feathers. Some people just don't want to say anything. I totally respect that. And sometimes talking about it doesn't really help if you're thinking about posting to get views. I think that some people do that because they're trying to get that reaction or that viral, and trying to educate people is also really important. But I don't think these celebrities really understand the fact that what they're saying doesn't really move the needle. It's just like helping maybe them book another job or keep in with their management team. I think it's all very much like they're talking to the people in the room. They want to impress when they sit back at their table, like, that was such a great thing you said. And I just don't think it goes really beyond that in a way, which it sounds like just very unintelligent.
Well, so this is very interesting because one of the things that we've talked about before is that after the 2024 election, because of exactly what you just mentioned, there was this obvious moment where Taylor Swift, Beyonce had not moved the needle enough for Kamala Harris, if at all, for Kamala Harris. I think there was a correlation between Swift and voter registrations when she posted telling people to register to vote. But then you actually have to get people to vote, and that's a different question.
The way you want them to vote.
Exactly, yeah, let alone in your direction. And it did feel like the country had been swept by the quote-unquote vibe shift. And I'm a little surprised. I'm not shocked, but I'm a little surprised by how quickly Hollywood reverted in the last, like with the Golden Globes and the Grammys just yesterday, reverted to that 2017 era of kind of virtue signaling. And I don't know if it's just because there's a very visible chunk of Hollywood participating, or if it's the crowd behind Emily Austin that we just watched, where there are a lot of people also sitting, not standing, for Ice Out. And they're just, the people, it's more mixed than it was before Trump, because you have more people kind of like Tim Cook was just at the White House, and there are a bunch of celebrities just at the White House for the Melania premiere. Like, some people are definitely more comfortable pushing the boundary. But then others, it's like, it's still 2017. I don't know. What do you make of that?
I do think it's very performative, where they're trying to read the room of like, what's trending? What should I say? What's the right thing? And I mean, none of these people talked about Lake and Riley or any of the people that were killed by illegal immigrants. Like, no one, after all the Free Palestine and after all that, no one talked about the hostages that were freed after. So it's like these talking points that I feel like get traction and get people views and clicks, and they get coverage in the magazines afterwards. But then when it's not as popular to talk about it, it's like, it's already, the award season's over. I can just move on to the next thing, next time around.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Biebers. So just starting on them, we put F8 up on the screen. This is Justin and Hailey Bieber. Justin gave a very like haunting, I would say, performance. And you can see the Ice Out pin on Hailey Bieber. He's wearing one as well. We mentioned that before, but I'm curious if you were surprised by this, Brittany, because they've sort of been, I mean, he was involved with kind of evangelical world for a while and got made fun of for it, but they're both very vocal Christians. Obviously, Stephen Baldwin is Hailey Bieber's father. He's more conservative. Were you surprised that they popped the Ice Out pins on? Or, I mean, I will say I was a little bit surprised, because they're not usually very political.
Yeah, I thought it seemed a little random, but I did see another interview that Emily Austin, is her name Emily Austin? I might be saying that wrong.
Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That she was saying that people were giving out the pins there. And so some people walked up without the pins on, and they were put on. It seemed like at the last minute. I don't know. I wasn't there.
It's a weird thing to turn down if you're in that position too. If somebody comes up to you with
so
it,
I do feel like it's
I love Ice.
bit right. I feel like it's a little bit of a peer pressure thing there, especially you're trying to be cool in Hollywood. You're trying to make sure that you're saying all the right things. There is that pressure, and I do pity them for that. If maybe they just don't have a strong sense of like what they think about it, or haven't done a deep dive. But I just thought it was silly, because he was wearing the Balenciaga too. The minute that happened with Balenciaga, I donated all my Balenciaga pieces. And I was actually very sad about that, because they were one of the designers that I love the cuts. I love the knife heels. It has a very edgy look to it. And I just thought, as a mom, I can't support this anymore. And so it just seems very hypocritical to be wearing Balenciaga and then be saying like, Ice Out. Like, what are you standing for?
That's a great point, because, and maybe you can refresh people a little bit on why the Balenciaga problem was so severe that people, even like cancel culture people like you, Brittany, were like, oh, no, this is a line too far.
It was too much for me.
Refresh us on what that is a little bit, because I think it does make the Ice Out pin, this kind of like outward virtue signal, literally pinned to the Balenciaga look. It makes it very, it's a stark contrast, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
So back in, I'm trying to think of what year it was. It was probably 2021 or 2022.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
They had an ad campaign where it was children in like BDSM wear. And it seemed like, it might have just been like a coincidence. But then on the table, there was this document that was like a child pornography case. So it was I thought seemed very disgusting, and also very, like, they made the point to include that. If you didn't know, obviously it would just look like papers on a desk. But when people did a deep dive, it just really crossed a line for me. And I couldn't get over it. It just ruined the brand for me.
I think I can put this up on the screen. Yeah, if people missed it.
It was too much. It's just really gross.
Yeah, it was gnarly. Yeah, you can see this like teddy bear on the screen for the listening audience with BDSM garb on and a child holding it. Just even for like the art world, Brittany, which we all, I think, give license to be creative and weird. This is some crazy shit.
Yes, that's how we felt. And I was disappointed, because they were always a little bit, edgy, a little bit more, I would say like a lot of black, a little bit darker. But that just was like beyond that. I can't get past it. And now it just like ruins the bags for me. I don't love it.
I saw some people saying the Gaga performance was kind of giving like Satanism last night. I don't know if you caught it. I didn't. I think she did like abracadabra.
I didn't watch the Grammys.
Okay.
I did watch, like, I like seeing the fashion roundups, but I don't watch the shows usually.
That's such a good decision. I was at a hotel bar and I saw it behind me, and there was a really drunk woman at the bar who was like, I saw them put the Grammys on, but now I'm regretting my decision. She was like so mad about it.
There was a point when I was either in high school or college where everyone watched the Grammys. That was like, it was so fun to do. It was like we get together all with our friends. But now it's like, does anyone watch it in real time, or do they just look at the fashion afterwards? I don't know. Like, I think
only people on Twitter watch it in real time.
Okay, because I'm like, who watches these shows and sees the whole? I don't know. I definitely don't.
No, seriously. Or it's the boomers who still have the TV on from the news. Let's get your take on the Chappell Roan nipple ring dress. This is F11. What on earth? I mean, this one, it's hideous, Brittany. Like, it's not. My issue with it is not that it's lewd. But maybe you have a different take on this. This is your wheelhouse. It is not my wheelhouse. But I just think that's ugly.
I think I don't like it at all. I did like it better when it had a draping. If you see like the full look before she took that off, it actually looks better because it has a cape. But still, just overall, I have a daughter who's 19, and if she wore that, I would be so sad and disappointed and just feel like, where did I go wrong as a mom that she wants to wear this? So, I mean, she has talked about before about having like a really depressing childhood, and I don't know. I just feel like it's just trying to get attention for, I don't know. I think it's like, if you're very confident, you're not wearing those things.
Well, I was going to ask you, what is she going for with that? Because you're totally covered on the bottom, like goes past her ankles on the bottom, and then just clipped up on the nipples with everything else completely exposed. This was a huge night for Chappell Roan. Obviously, we're in the Pink Pony Club era here. Massive. And she goes not pink, which I respect, but maroon. It was almost like vampiric, or I don't know. I don't mean vampiric in any type of like costumey sense, but the color palette. There was something odd about it.
I think that she was really going for talking about it afterwards like this. Like, we're talking about her outfit. She's getting views on Instagram, TikTok. It's very much posted about. So I do think that sometimes these celebrities are thinking about it from the clicks they'll get afterwards.
Well, speaking of which, here's Heidi Klum doing what Heidi Klum does. V1. For the listening audience, I will describe this look for you, and if you have not yet seen it, some people said she was looking like an uncooked chicken. It is skin tight, like peanut on, nude latex, and if people have seen Heidi Klum's like Halloween costumes, they're probably not entirely surprised by the look, but she's so beautiful. Is this a moment where sometimes beautiful people feel the need to go like extra and weird because they can? I don't know. That's my best interpretation.
Yeah, I think she's so stunning, and she does really cool costumes that are fully covered up for Halloween that I was surprised by this. I felt like it also showed her trying to be like, show her body and be really young. I don't know. She's giving me like J-Lo vibes where she's trying to be forever young in a way. I don't know. I didn't love the look. And also she couldn't sit down. She wasn't able to really wear it. So I feel like that's more of an example of when the dress wears you versus you wearing the dress.
What did you make of the looks overall? Does it tell us anything about where fashion's going, culture is going, or was it just a lot of like, I mean, actually it's interesting in and of itself that you said you thought Chappell Roan was going for clicks. Like back in the day, there's fashion police, which is funny to say back in the day because it was only like 10 years ago. But, there was the Joan and Melissa era, fashion police, and there's always been tabloid coverage. But there is something, I think, in a McLuhan medium is the message sense that's shaping fashion in and of itself. If you're trying to like right away hit Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and grab people's attention as soon as you step out there and be the person that's going viral first. I don't know.
Right. And also too, with these award shows, these celebs, they don't have the pick of every designer they want to work with. So the designers are really particular with who they want to work with too. So you'll see Chanel on very specific people. You will not see it on every single person for that reason. But I think maybe if they're an up and coming artist or someone who hasn't been in the industry that long, they're feeling pressure from what the designer wants them to wear. And if the designer says, oh, this will be perfect, this will get, the views. So I think it could be a mix of potentially they're trying to please the designer to work with them again. But I think that if they probably go into it with a mix of that, like, I want to, this is my goal for the night.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, last question, a month into 2026 now. Brittany, you follow the world of kind of politics and culture really closely, whether it's fashion or food, women. What's your prediction for pop culture in 2026 if you had to think about some of the big picture trends?
What's weird is that it seems like it's very much like in that micro culture. Like, I don't know some of these people that went up there. I had no idea who they were. I had to look them up afterwards. Like, even the woman who won the best new artist or upcoming artist, I couldn't even tell you what she sings. So I feel like it's very much whatever you are into, that's what you're seeing. So, I don't really listen to music a lot. I listen to, we're listening to the David soundtrack in our car anytime I'm with the kids. They love it. It's on repeat. And then I'm listening to podcasts when they're taking a nap or I'm doing something, I'm working on something. There's always some podcast running. I can't even remember the last time I listened to music just to like tune out. So I don't know. Like, for me, it's very much like whatever you're into. It's very like, everything's very niche now.
And like tailored, customized.
Right. And so I guess unless you're listening to the radio where you're hearing, because back in high school, everyone would listen to the same music. I graduated 2005. So that was early 2000s. Everyone's knowing what the top 20 was of the songs and everyone knew the same people. So I think it's just so broken up now. Like, my daughter tells me these people who she listens to. I'm like, who? I've never heard of that before. I feel so old. And she's like very into music. So she keeps me, I'm like, where are you going? What concert are you going to?
When I was in college, I created a playlist before graduation of the top 50 songs of every year by the Billboard charts. So 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2014. Yeah, till 2015. And I don't think you could do that now. Like, I play it all the time for people my age who were in college those years, and everybody knows the songs. Like, it's guaranteed bangers. But I don't think that's true anymore. Like, I don't think people share that. That's weird. That's really weird.
Yeah. And I think that TikTok, during 2019, 2020, I think TikTok was really making songs take off. Like, you would know a song, but it was from TikTok.
Like Pink Pony Club.
Yeah. So artists would break out on there. And I think that was the way that people were all, they were all trying to learn the dances when it was mostly dancing at the time. So I think that really was the way that people were not listening to the radio, but they were like, oh, that's a top hit right now. That's like a TikTok top hit.
Right. That was more like Doja Cat, Cardi.
Right. Yeah. All those very catchy songs. But back when I was younger, it would be the top 20, or we'd listen to MTV, the TRL. And I would love that show. So it's not like that now. It's just very different.
I remember watching the premiere of the Ciara 1-2-step video on TRL.
I lived for music videos. After school, I would do my homework and just have the music videos playing. I'm like, oh, when's the next song going to come on? I love that. And I do feel a little bummed that my daughter won't get to experience that. Like, waiting for a song to come out.
What was cool about TRL is that you knew other people your age were watching. Like, you knew you could, it was like kind of you don't have a water cooler in high school, but it was like that type of content. Like, there was something very immediate and urgent about watching, somebody say something like Britney Spears say something weird or stupid or mess up on TRL, or like this new video come out. Like, that's pretty much gone.
Yeah. And even at the Grammys, I was thinking that even when Obama was in office, like, he deported so many people, and no one was talking about it because it wasn't on Instagram.
And they don't know
about it.
Well, it's like what you're describing with music, but for news.
Right.
I think genuinely people kind of learned about it when Trump did the like quote unquote kids in cages thing, because there was this news cycle about how it had also happened under the Obama administration. But I genuinely don't think that a lot of like Gen Z has any idea what happened under Obama.
No. And it's just funny because it's so amplified now, but it's not even as much. He hasn't even deported as many people as Obama has deported. So it's just like amplified in your algorithm.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
Brittany, where can people follow you?
I'm on Instagram at Brittany Xavier. And I also write on Substack, substack.com, whatever, / Brittany Xavier. And I do TikTok here and there, but I mainly just post my reels to TikTok.
You're like the reverse of how most people do it.
I used to love TikTok and be posting on there all the time. I was very much into making viral videos, but it's crazy on TikTok. It's just, I don't even like to scroll it anymore. I just like to, sometimes you just can't be in on every single thing what's going on in the world.
It's also just clearly poison for your brain.
No, I know. And it is programmed to make the US kids dumber than the Chinese ones.
This is why you should be on it, Brittany. You should be fighting that with your Maha recipes and your wholesome mom content.
So we'll see. Apparently it's supposed to get set to US. They did some deal. It's going to be a US algorithm. So we'll see it's going to have probably a ton more censorship on there. So we'll see.
We will see indeed. Yeah. Make sure to follow Brittany Xavier on Instagram and Substack. And Brittany, I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Emily. Bye.
Such a pleasure. All right. Yeah, we definitely have to have Brittany back again. Love catching up with her. More on the other end of this break. You're going to need to see this Chris Cuomo clip I'm about to roll. First, though, you guys know I'm skeptical of pretty much everything. And especially, of course, as we were just talking about with Brittany, those, quote, healthy cereals. Healthy foods in general, they can so often end up being loaded with bad stuff. Those dyes, those seed oils, completely unpronounceable ingredients that are chemicals. Lovebird cereal is different. Started by a dad who wouldn't feed his daughter the usual junk, only 7 clean organic ingredients on the front of the box. They fit on the front. No refined sugars, no fake flavors, and no high potency sweeteners. I really like the cinnamon. I like the chocolate flavor. Buckwheat, cassava, coconut honey, coconut sugar, cinnamon, and sea salt. Those are the ingredients. It's real food. And unlike corporate giants, Lovebird is family owned, donating 20% of profits to fight childhood cancer. And that matters. So head to lovebirdfoods.com and get some for your family. Ready to take back your breakfast? I hope so. Go to lovebirdfoods.com/afterparty and use code Afterparty for 25% off your order. You can also find Lovebird cereals at Walmart, Whole Foods, Sprouts, and other major retailers nationwide. Lovebird cereal, join the real food revolution and take back our country's health from big food, box by box. Well, as you know, Chris Cuomo, former CNN anchor, who was, of course, one of the most, what's the right word to put it, high-profile critics of Donald Trump in his first administration, and also with Don Lemon, one of the faces of CNN's Apple versus banana agenda in that time period, which was so incredibly divisive, both literally and metaphorically sowed a lot of distrust in the public, or I should say directly and indirectly, sowed a lot of distrust in media during that time period. And Chris Cuomo, who is now at News Nation, is sort of trying to take an L. You've probably noticed him taking L's since he first got kicked off the airwaves. He had been helping his brother, Andrew Cuomo, who failed so many people, so many of our vulnerable elderly people during the pandemic, and was getting a back massage every day from his brother on CNN. It was all treated like a joke, sometimes literally treated like a joke. And that really led to Chris Cuomo's departure. He ended up chilling for a little while, and now he's at News Nation trying to do a kind of reformed newsman shtick. So every once in a while, he vomits candor. And this is one of those moments. Let's go ahead and roll S6.
I'm sorry.
Ah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't more aggressive
about who and what Trump is and is capable of when this first all started. I'm sorry that I didn't push back more during the impeachment when all the Russia and the dossier and everything was so flimsy and it was so obviously political. I'm sorry that I wasn't more muscular in testing that. I'm sorry that I didn't have a platform during the phase of the pandemic when we started to learn that a lot of our underlying assumptions were wrong and that the government had been wrong. I wish I'd been more muscular with the brother and sister Democrats when they were thinking about riding the Biden train for a second term, when such a big part of why he got a term was because it was only going to be one, and everybody knew he was at the end of his powers. I should have been stronger about how they were fucking up this process. I'm sorry. If that's what you need to hear.
Thank you. Does anybody think an apology from Chris Cuomo is meaningful when he's sounding like he's reading from the exact same book that he was reading throughout his entire career at CNN, the same dramatic intonations, the same, it's like he's acting the exact same part of the adult in the room, centrist, normal guy that he wants you to see him as. And where the wind blows, you will find Chris Cuomo right in the middle, refusing to pick any side other than the side of power. And right now, Chris Cuomo knows that the media there's a big market for people who sound like they're reformed, that they've learned their lessons, and that they understand now they need to be more quote unquote muscular. So he's saying on the one hand, he should have been more critical of Trump. And I think this video is actually in response to the Trump administration's ICE policies. So he's saying on the one hand, he should have been more alert to the dangers of Trumpism, but on the other hand, should have been more alert to and more skeptical of the Russia collusion concoction. And it's like, well, why weren't you? Why weren't you, and why are you now? And I know this sounds like nothing is ever good enough, right? Because, the thing I harp on all the time is that media distrust is literally at a record low per Gallup's annual ratings. Record low. And the media is digging itself deeper and deeper into the hole instead of climbing out of the hole. Like Chris Cuomo climbed out of his basement, lest we forget, when he had fake COVID, whatever that was. So why not just say, thank you, Chris Cuomo, very well done. Excellent. Because I question his motivations. He's saying exactly what the same people want him to say now, right? It sounds like he's auditioning for Barry Weiss. He wants to go to CBS. He's like, I'm done with News Nation and I'm back to the quote unquote mainstream media because I'm Chris Cuomo. I don't belong over here on News Nation. I belong at the table with the big boys. He knows that's what people like David Ellison and there are other examples of people in media that are now seeing, wow, these podcasts are doing so well. He's done like podcasts with Tucker where he's trying to just like roll up his sleeves. And listen, Chris Cuomo is obviously like a meathead, a meathead rich kid. He'll probably like threaten to fight me for that, thereby making my point. But it's obviously he's capable of having like casual conversations, and I get it. He's been in TV his whole career. He knows how to make people pay somewhat close attention to what he's saying, but he's not really in a position to challenge power. He's not particularly interested in challenging power. He might think he is, but even subconsciously, he's just being blown with the wind in this new position where he thinks he can restore trust in the media because he's a journalist who's learned his lesson. He's one of the smart ones who's taken the cues and he's learned. And I just genuinely don't buy it. It all seems opportunistic and fake as hell. So it's my job to be ungrateful, like I was saying. It's my job to be skeptical and ungrateful. Actually, his job too. You wouldn't know it. Actually, his job to be deeply skeptical too. We'll see if it continues. But it was just like everything, his affectations, everything was just like I was watching him do one of those handoffs with Don Lemon back in like 2018, which CNN loved. Jeff Zucker loved those handoffs, where Cuomo and Lemon would like bro it up doing this sanctimonious anti-Trump act because CNN was chasing the wine moms. Great. God love you. Was never going to last. Clearly didn't last. All good things must come to an end. And here we are, Don Lemon either in jail or on a super chat, and Chris Cuomo auditioning for jobs in what appeared to be a basement. So, such is life in the year of our Lord 2026. We'll be back with more After Party on Wednesday. That's all we got for you tonight. I'm gonna go to bed. Can't wait to be back with you all on Wednesday, though. As a reminder, please subscribe. It helps us so much on the YouTube channel. Great free way to offer your support. You can like and comment on YouTube, too. That helps a lot as well. And wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, subscribe there. You can email me at emily@devilmaycaremedia.com. Appreciate it, everyone. We'll see you again on Wednesday night.